A new report has revealed that rival MLB executives think that Ross Atkins has overpaid for his acquisitions this offseason, and now he is under fire by fans and media. So I'm going to break down that entire report in this episode of Jay's Digest, as well as Daulton Varsho. He seems to be breaking out. So stay tuned for that and much more in this episode coming up next. What's up, Jays fans? Nick Gosse here, host of Jay's Digest, and we have a lot to get into today. A brand new report dropped, and it's not a good look for Ross Atkins, and many fans out there are they were already maybe displeased with the offseason, and this kind of just adds some salt to that wound. So we're going to break that down in this episode, as well as the game just wrapped up, and Daulton Varsho is looking to have a very, very good season if he can translate what he's been doing in spring so far to, obviously, the regular season in a couple of weeks. But before we get into it, quick reminder, hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 12,000 subscribers. So if you can hit that button if you haven't already, it would mean the world to Peter and I. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the first topic, which Atkins is under fire right now by fans and media, and really by rival MLB executives. So a recent report came out from Robert Murray, a pretty coveted insider, and here's the exact details of what it has to say. And it was in his article where he said, regarding Isiah Kiner-Falefa, multiple rival agents and executives have noted that Isiah Kiner-Falefa's contract with the Blue Jays, which is of course 2 years, $15 million, is perhaps the best for a player this offseason, and that Kiner-Falefa's salary in 2024, obviously being $7.5 million, is only $500,000 less than Tim Anderson, Gio Urshela, and Ahmed Rosario's salaries combined this season, or this upcoming season. Now, when you put it into perspective like that, there's a lot to go over. Thomas Hall basically said few likely saw free agency drying up the way it has, but yeah, Kiner-Falefa's contract is very player-friendly, and we have some other people saying, like Josh Goldberg, saying it was a baffling one that he gets so much money with $3 to $4 million deals given out as of late. And we also saw Adam Duvall at an 800-plus OPS last season, getting a contract in the range of $3 million. And when you're looking at this contract as a whole, Isiah Kiner-Falefa, the Blue Jays clearly wanted him, and it did come out that multiple teams were going after him. But this was at the start of the offseason. And at the start of the offseason, the market at that point wasn't set. We were all suspecting Matt Chapman to get 150 plus, Blake Snell to get 200 million plus, and all of these things following Shohei Ohtani's signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But ultimately, none of those things really happened. I mean, it's actually the polar opposite. This has been one of the most wild off seasons in recent memory, simply due to the fact that, everyone is getting small contracts, but the Blue Jays, because they didn't necessarily wait out the market for the guy they wanted in Isiah Kiner-Falefa, they gave him a very player-friendly deal. When you're looking at players like Gio Urshela, who got $1.4 million, Adam Duvall, who got $3 million, Ahmed Rosario, who got, I think, $2 million, Isiah Kiner-Falefa was getting $7.5 million per season, and it's a 2-year contract. Now, it's very clear that they coveted Isiah Kiner-Falefa. He's never had an OPS above 700, but of course, Ross Atkins loves his player versatility and things like that, and Isiah can play every single position, so that's obviously a benefit. But I'm very curious, and I bring this up because, again, he's under fire by a lot of fans. The media tend to agree that he may have overpaid, but I think that in a situation like this, obviously, yes, we can agree that he overpaid. But for one, it's not a huge contract. It's a $15 million contract. You'd rather strike out on a contract like that than maybe Cody Bellinger's, or paying $300 million and being stuck with an albatross of a contract like Carlos Stanton's comes to mind. It's obviously not going to be a huge deal going forward for the team, but it does kind of beg the question of why did they pull the trigger so early? And I guess ultimately they didn't think the market was going to fall like this, because if they did, you would suspect that they would maybe would have waited it out, which is pretty, which obviously makes some sense, especially coming off a pretty bad year with the New York Yankees, one of the worst hitting years of his career. But again, it's very interesting, and I think that you can't put too much blame on Ross Atkins in the front office. They did not realize that the market was going to fall the way it has. No one did, and they wanted to get their guy, and there was reportedly other teams offering, I would suspect, maybe 1 year, $5 to $6 million deals, and they gave Isiah 2 years, $15 million. But the benefit is if he ends up going and having a great season, we do have him locked up for another year at 7.5, and 7.5 is not too crazy, especially coming into the season with the prices that we thought the players were going to get. But I don't know. Nonetheless, the market's been very weird. Matt Chapman got like $54 million. Everything is crazy. To think that like Matt Chapman got 54 and Isiah only got 15, like they're still pretty far away in total salary there, but not that crazy difference when you're looking at the types of players that they bring in. Again, Tim Anderson, Gio Urshela, Ahmed Rosario, they combined for $8 million this season between obviously their different teams, and Isiah Kiner-Falefa is only $500 less than that at 7.5. So it's a little crazy, a little ridiculous, And the question I ask you is, who would you have preferred? Would you prefer them giving this Isaiah Kiner-Falefa contract out? Would you have preferred Gio Urshela on like a 1-year, $2 million deal? Would you prefer Adam Duvall? Any of these guys? Obviously, way less defensive-minded. I mean, Gio Urshela is still a solid defense, has some solid defense, but I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are and all that in the comment section below. Very, very interesting. And yeah, this report kind of dropped. It was a bit of a bombshell, and a lot of fans, media, everyone alike is upset with Ross Atkins, or at least confused as to why they pulled the trigger this soon on a deal like that. But nonetheless, it is what it is, and we're going to have to rock with it going forward and cheer for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who's having a great spring and seems like a very great guy. So that's obviously good, and they got their guy, and Ross ultimately got his guy. But let's touch on today's game a little bit, which was Varsho. Kind of had a breakout. He's been having a phenomenal spring training. We know when we acquired him last year, in that big Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Gabriel Moreno trade, that he has the potential, and we were hoping that he could be a 5-WAR player. Obviously, he showed flashes in Arizona, and he's showing some more flashes of that in spring. Last season, he was they messed with his swing. They started him in the cleanup spot. They had high expectations for him. They changed a bunch of things. He's obviously moving from Arizona to Toronto, a pretty big change in culture, shift in everything, shift in weather, of course. And he's traveling across, he changed countries. Now he's looking finally comfortable. I'm excited to see what he can do. If you watch today's game, he stole second and third in one inning. I'd love to see him run more in 2024, especially if there isn't more power or isn't much power behind him in the bottom third of the lineup with obviously Kiermaier, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and all those guys. But he had a 285 OBP last season, but he can steal 25 if he's on or more. And if we look at him, people are saying 5-WAR incoming, and he went 2 for 2, a few stolen bases, up to 1,000 OPS in spring. Like, Daulton Varsho has been unbelievable. And the big thing is, if he can get his hitting right like he did in Arizona, if he can approach an 800 OPS, then he's going to be a guy who is approaching 5-WAR easily. He's one of the best outfield defenders in the league. He's versatile. He's one of the best base runners in the league. He can steal bases. Like, he has everything there, and if he can just put it all together for one season, he's still young, 26 or 27 years old, he is going to be very crucial for this Blue Jays team. And we're talking about positive, we're obviously talking about the regression that happened last season with the hitters, and we want some positive progression now. We want some of these guys to bounce back. Some positive regression can happen, and Daulton Varsho hasn't been one we've been talking about too much. Mainly been focusing on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and players like that. But Varsho is one of the biggest guys who has the potential and has the ability to really completely go from a 2-WAR player to a 5-WAR player if he can just put together the hitting, because he has everything else. He has the intangibles. He has everything you want in a ball player, and luckily for us, we still have him under contract for a lot of time, and he's starting to finally feel comfortable. And if he can start stealing bases, he's going to be an interesting guy to watch out for. And we obviously saw the Bo Bichette absolute nuke. He hit a bomb. I mean, the Jays hitters in spring training have been great. Who knows how much stock you put into that. But at the end of the day, they're playing well. The Jays obviously they lost to the Yankees by 1 in a pretty unfortunate Hagen-Denner disaster class collapse. So that doesn't really matter. What matters is that Daulton Varsho looks great. The guys are ready to go. Obviously, the results don't matter as much. Even Biggio's looking good, and I'm ready for the regular season to start. But that'll wrap up the video. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below on all of this. If you want to check out our video from yesterday, click on your screen now, and we'll see you tomorrow.